Welcome into the Road to Stanley presented by Bally Sports. He's Pete Blackburn. I'm Frank Seravalli of dailyfaceoff.com. It's May 9th. It's day 22 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And Pete, with one game on the slate on Monday night, a bit of a dud, by the way, there was no shortage of drama in the hockey world with Connor Bedard heading to the Chicago Blackhawks via the NHL's Draft lottery. They'll pass the torch from Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews to Bedard at some point in June at the NHL Draft. But with the generational talent on his way to the Windy City, who was the bigger loser on Monday night? Was it the Anaheim Ducks or was it the Columbus Blue Jackets?
To me, the biggest loser by far is the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, not only were they the only team in the lottery to fall a spot, but you also consider the fact that the broadcast screwed up their pick. Their watch party did not get shown at all. I feel bad for those fans that all congregated and were like, we're going to get Connor Bedard. And then the broadcast spoils the fact that they fall down to 3. And now you're talking about a team that desperately needs a franchise center. And they have needed a franchise center for a long time. They're now out of position for Bedard and Adam Fantilli. And those are the top 2 guys on the board from all indications. It's those 2 guys. And then there's a fall off. And no disrespect to Leo Carlsson and Will Smith. I think that the Blue Jackets and all their fans were hoping that they would at least be in position to get Fantilli, and now they strike. I don't want to say they strike out, but they lose out on those 2 guys, and you're looking at a franchise that we've called anonymous in the past. Like, they don't draw big names in the offseason outside of Johnny Gaudreau, and they're not considered like a premier market. Getting Bedard or Fantilli would have been huge for them, so it's hard not to feel disappointed for the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, their luck in the lottery is more or less non-existent. That was their 11th crack at the NHL Draft lottery, and they've yet to win. So certainly feel for the Columbus Blue Jackets. The fit was kind of ready-made. Take Bedard, plug him into that lineup with Patrick Laine and Johnny Gaudreau, and boom, you're hitting the ground running. For me, I'm going to say the Anaheim Ducks, though, and the reason for that is when you consider the math involved here, yes, the Ducks entered the night with a 74% chance of not getting Connor Bedard, but when you consider that they had a 25.5% chance of effective odds, that gap between themselves and the Columbus Blue Jackets is actually more than the Chicago Blackhawks entered the night with, which is 11.5%. So that's a huge tumble. And I think also for me, when I think of the draft lottery and some of the big generational talents that have gone, I can't help but think back to the 2005 draft lottery. You had the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Anaheim Ducks, the 2 final teams in the mix. Is he heading to SoCal, where Sidney Crosby, maybe they win some more Stanley Cups outside of 2007? Who knows? The future of a franchise quite literally dependent on the ping pong balls. And I thought maybe, just maybe, that same kind of lack of luck, the hockey gods would make it right with maybe the next generational talent to pop up since Connor McDavid. So certainly some tough luck for both franchises as you consider the draft lottery on Monday night. Pete, let's get back to the playoffs and the road to Stanley. The Edmonton Oilers suffered their most lopsided loss in the 2023 calendar year and stubbed their toe in a potentially pivotal Game 3. Was this a one-off or a sign of a real struggle with the Vegas Golden Knights?
I'm going to say not only was it a one-off, but I think this is maybe as good as it gets for the Vegas Golden Knights from this point out. I mean, you look at Monday night's game and how it went. First of all, they lose Laurent Brossoit, which I think is pretty significant, and you're going to run Aiden Hill for the rest of the playoffs, it seems, or perhaps Jonathan Quick, which could be a very, very juicy storyline. But I look at Monday, and like Edmonton played quite possibly the worst and most unluckiest game that they could have. And I don't think it's going to get worse for them from this point on. I think everybody on Edmonton had a pretty rough night. Outside of maybe Leon Draisaitl, who could have had like 4 goals, but only had 1. He had a few posts. He kept passing to Evan Bouchard for some reason when he was passing up shots. I don't know about that. I don't think that'll happen again. Their net front coverage was pretty bad, and their discipline was awful. Their power play wasn't converting on opportunities. I don't expect the Edmonton Oilers to be this bad again, and honestly, I don't expect Vegas to look as good as they did for the rest of this series either.
Yeah, it almost didn't even feel like Vegas looked really good so much as it did Edmonton looked really bad. So I'm going to agree with you and say a one-off, and more for this point that I think you can boil down really simply. is there going to be another night this series when both Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are held off the score sheet? My answer to that is no. Draisaitl is gunning for the NHL record for postseason goals. He's only 6 away, and we're barely halfway through the NHL's second round. It's been a bananas-type playoffs for Leon Draisaitl to this point. I can't see the Golden Knights keeping him down, and more to that point, I don't think the Golden Knights are well-suited to be playing a run-and-gun type game with the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think they have the horses. I don't think they have the horses to lock it down either, which puts them in a really tough spot. And as you mentioned, especially now without their clear number one netminder, likely for a while. Pete, give me your Stanley standout from Monday night.
I'm going to say Jack Eichel. It was an unbelievable game for Jack Eichel. He had a goal and 2 assists, and the goal was incredible. Put Evan Bouchard in an absolute blender in the neutral zone, sniped. Jack Eichel coming through in this playoff run. I think he's answered a lot of questions as to whether he's capable of showing up in these big moments and whether he's back to being Jack Eichel. He certainly is. Yeah,
Eichel getting his first taste of the Stanley Cup playoffs. 8 games so far, 10 points, 5 goals, 5 assists for the Vegas Golden Knights, who have a 2-1 series edge now over the Edmonton Oilers. For me, the Stanley standout is the NHL's draft lottery drama. You mentioned it off of the top, the idea that there was the TV production miscue that caused Kevin Weeks to read that the Columbus Blue Jackets had fallen to the number 3 pick before they had even flipped the card. But I got to tell you this, I was in the NHL's draft lottery room sequestered for the actual ping pong balls portion of it where they're drawn. The intensity and the drama in the room, a small little conference room, is unmatched. It's 5 of the best minutes of the entire season. And I'm not just talking about for the 11 teams that have skin in the game. When you can kind of, in 20-second intervals, kind of figure out what the sequence is looking like and who the possibilities are for the 4th ball, I can't believe that they don't just wheel that machine out and into the studio and do that live on air. That would remove a lot of the ridiculous tinfoil hat, controversial takes that everyone has on social media. And more than that, if you could even pause it after the 3rd ball and add to the drama, maybe go to someone like Jarmo Kekalainen or Kyle Davidson, one of these general managers, and ask, hey, what are you feeling in this exact moment in time? And then boom, hit the next button to get the 4th ball. There is nothing illegitimate about this process, not even 1 second. It is so exact and surgical, it would remind you of the coronation of the king, which is fitting for hockey's new prince in Connor Bedard. But you don't need to flip the cards. That's not made for TV drama. The ball's getting sucked up the tube in the draft lottery. That's where it's at.
Yeah, I'm all in for that for sure.
Yeah, we need more of that. Maybe that'll be the next tweak to the NHL's draft lottery. Pete, what's on tap for Tuesday night? Does the winner of Game 4 between Carolina and New Jersey win the series, yes or no?
Only if Carolina wins. Only if Carolina wins.
I'm saying the winner of Game 4 either way wins the series. If it's Carolina, yep, up 3-1. You could probably take that to the bank. But the New Jersey Devils, if they can draw even, I think they're in the driver's seat.